It's finally summer and I'm ready for my vacation to Donkey Kong Island. I've been waiting my entire life for this moment and I'm finally here. It's time to go meet the Kongs. Whoa! Whoa! You have got to be kidding me. Looks like we're gonna have to help the Kongs reclaim their home from Lord Frederick and the Snowmads. And here I was thinking I was gonna get to sip banana smoothies on the beach. Guess I'm gonna have to settle for milk in my basement, I guess. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, the newest installment in the 2D platformer series featuring our favorite fictional simian. Dunder Mifflin, this is Pam. Wait. So, what do you mean milk mustaches aren't cool anymore? The Got Milk campaign ended in February 2014? What happened in February 2014? Oh my god. Tropical Freeze might not be David Ortiz pouring milk all over Cocoa Crisp. Yes, that's his real name. In the Red Sox 2006 yearbook, but it's just as fun. First things first, good lord, is this game gorgeous. The vibrant colors just pop off the screen. The detailed backgrounds add so much to the world beyond just the levels themselves. The fluid animations bring every single character and set piece to life. It's just a flat out stunning visual experience. Hey, would you look at that? Turns out we were in the Louvre the whole time. And then the music. The music. David Wise is back, baby. The man who composed the music for the first two entries in the original Donkey Kong Country trilogy has outdone himself here, evolving his sound from the 90s to create a soundtrack that perfectly complements the atmosphere of Tropical Freeze. He's even enhanced and remixed some tracks from the original games, blending nostalgia with a sweet tropical freshness. This is genuinely one of the best video game soundtracks I've ever heard, so I want to highlight a few of my favorites. First up is Big Top Bop. Retro Studios was basically like, hey David, we got a cool first boss battle, we got a sea lion versus Donkey Kong, it's pretty fun and silly, we're excited to see what you come up with. And then David was like,
Life's as extreme as you wanna make it!
metal probably isn't the first genre that comes to mind when thinking of the Donkey Kong Country series, and if it is, you should get that checked out because I had a cousin who had DK Metal Mania once and it took him a few years to recover. But Big Top Bop tells you in the first boss battle of the game that Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is kicking things into overdrive. Windmill Hills, the song for the very next level on the other hand, is much more aligned with that classic DKC sound. Windmill Hills is like a warm hug from your childhood. It mixes these melodic harmonies and this playful rhythm to really just remind you of those early fall school days. You know the ones I'm talking about. You ride the bus to school, you get to recess and you're jumping in the leaf piles, then you head back to class and then you get sent to the principal's office because you finished reading early and rang the end of reading time wind chimes without any teacher telling you to. Oh, you think that's a ridiculous thing to get punished for and also kind of a weird story to share right now? Try telling my second grade teacher that. Anyways, these two levels being back-to-back showcases the variety in the tracks that David Wise composed for Tropical Freeze. One minute you're rocking out with the sea lion and the next you're reminiscing about the good old days. Jumping way ahead all the way to World 6, we have Blurry Flurry. This song slaps. This track is infectious and just makes you want to move. Also, there's this one little section that I realize sounds just like Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise, and I can't unhear it. David Wise, you absolute legend. Last, but certainly not least, I would be remiss if I didn't mention one of the series' most iconic songs, making its return in the form of a remixed version, Aquatic Ambiance. Between the visuals and the music, each level feels alive, bursting with personality and creativity. As far as level design goes, Tropical Freeze reaches heights that very few 2D platformers do. And it all boils down to one simple word: immersion. Alright, yeah, it's cliche, I know, but hear me out. It feels like the developers of Tropical Freeze designed the world first, and then designed the levels within it. And because of that, the world just feels so much more organic and lived in. They really took a page out of Burger King Pocket Bike Racer's book. God, this game is cinema. This organic world presents itself in the form of platforms being actual set pieces from the world, backgrounds being filled to the brim with nature and wildlife, and levels that change dynamically as you progress through them. And all of these aspects are present in the very first level. Trees, rocks, Venus flytrap plants, and the remnants of what seems to be a crashed plane make up the majority of the platforms. The background features an ocean as well as a thick forest that has begun growing into and around the machinery in the foreground. Then you get to near the end of the level and pull on a handle on the ground to reveal a giant tree. You use these barrel cannons to essentially climb upwards, and the final one sends you flying through the forest towards the last section of the level. You're not just playing a level, you're diving headfirst into a lush, vibrant world. Yeah, this is pretty basic in terms of the context of the game, but it just leaves you with this sense of wonder that persists throughout your entire journey through Tropical Freeze. Allow me to break down two of my favorite levels in the entire game, both of which had my jaw on the floor the first time I played them due to their sheer beauty. Grassland Groove is the first level of World 3, Bright Savannah. And before we even get into the level, just watch this opening cutscene. The Lion King walked so Grassland Groove could run. No level makes you feel like you're in a living, breathing world more than Grassland Groove. When the level begins, we are immediately introduced to the dancing baobab trees, which are out here vibing to the rhythmic music that perfectly fits the atmosphere of the Bright Savannah. And we also meet swaying platforms that resemble animals like elephants and buffaloes, among others. In the next section, we ride and climb on the necks of these tall giraffe and zebra-like wooden figures, which leads to an area that has not only these figures, but also the dancing trees and platforms from the first area. And then in the final area, we meet these snake-like platforms that are attached to huge wooden machines that move them back and forth. And the final barrel cannon sends us to a bird-shaped platform, which when rolled on, reveals the animal platform friends we've met along the way. And we all sway together in the sunlight. Whenever I play Grassland Groove, I feel like I'm just waking up on a beautiful, warm summer day with infinite possibilities ahead of me. This is more than just a level. It's a spiritual experience. On the opposite side of the peacefulness of Grassland Groove is the chaos of Cliffside Slide. This level is a roller coaster of emotions that will keep you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. This is the 6th level of the 6th world, Donkey Kong Island, so the Kongs are close to reclaiming their home, and the gameplay of this level reflects the intensity of the moment. You're thrust into a frantic race against time as the mountain collapses around you. The platform is constantly shifting and falling away. You have to be quick on your feet and make split-second decisions to avoid plummeting to your doom. The thrill of narrowly escaping the avalanche, though, is unmatched. The contrast in styles between Grassland Groove and Cliffside Slide is a testament to Tropical Freeze's ability to create diverse, immersive experiences in its levels. Additionally, making their return following their omission in Donkey Kong Country Returns are underwater levels. And what a triumphant return it is. And it's not just because aquatic ambiance is also back to set a serene tone for these levels. To be honest, I'm pleasantly surprised by how well DK controls underwater. Sure, he can be slow to change direction sometimes, but his ability to swim using the jump button gives you a way to navigate swiftly through the water. And the mechanic adds a layer of strategies. You have to time your button presses to dodge enemies and obstacles. The underwater levels are not just about swimming though. They introduce new challenges and enemies that keep the gameplay fresh. From navigating through schools of fish to making sure you're always replenishing your oxygen levels with these air bubbles, there's always something keeping you on your toes. Plus, the level design often includes hidden paths and secrets that reward exploration, making these levels even more engaging. One standout water level is Miss Abyss, in which you dive into a dark underwater cavern that is only lit by bioluminescent flora and fauna. In Cliffside Slide, the silhouette art style played into that level's intensity, but here the art style accentuates the depth of the water. And with the calming visuals and soothing soundtrack, this level just feels like a dream. Another favorite is Irate 8, in which a giant octopus named Squidicus Yes, that is maybe the greatest name of all time, and I don't know how he's not a squid, but he chases after you through a series of tight, twisting passages. And as he draws closer and closer to you, the escape just gets more and more electric. The tranquil journey through a mist abyss and the adrenaline-pumping chase through Irate 8 once again underscores how Tropical Freeze is just able to infuse this great variety into its levels while maintaining a central vision for its gameplay centered around exploration, immersion, and rock-solid platforming. Taking a step back, the brilliance of Tropical Freeze's design is evident not just in its individual levels, but in the storytelling and cohesion of its world as a whole, with a prime example being World 5, Juicy Jungle. The world is centered around a jungle built on its fruit production. The first level, appropriately named Harvest Hazards, gives us an introduction by showing how the fruits are harvested. In Fruity Factory, we see the fruits starting to be processed, which culminates in one of the coolest mechanical moments of the entire game, with blades cutting up the fruits in such a way that the slices of fruit fly upwards and act as platforms to jump on momentarily before they fall back down. The fourth level, Panicky Paddles, is where the fruits are being juiced. In the next level, Jelly Jamboree, we find that the juice has been turned into blocks of jelly that are incredibly fun to bounce on. Finally, in Frosty Fruits, the jelly has been frozen into sweet, refreshing popsicles. What could be more fitting for a game named Tropical Freeze than a world dedicated to frozen frosty treats? I don't know, maybe a banana smoothie on the beach? But navigating through the world of Tropical Freeze isn't just a sweet, refreshing experience. It's also a test of perseverance and skill. I wouldn't say the game is incredibly challenging, but it is certainly more difficult than your typical Mario romp, for instance. Personally, I tend to enjoy the challenge the game presents. Not only does the difficulty feel natural, but it more importantly feels fair. Whenever I die in a level, I'm usually able to diagnose within a few seconds what went wrong and what I need to do next time to make sure I don't fail at that point again. That certainly does not mean I'm going to win on the next try, but it does mean I'm able to intuitively build an understanding of what each level is asking of me. Now let's take a look at the friends who can help us conquer these challenging levels. The Partner Kongs, of which we have 3. The first is Diddy Kong, who uses his trusty jetpack to hover for short distances, making jumps just a bit more manageable. Then we have Dixie Kong. Like Diddy Kong, she can use her ponytail like he uses his jetpack to get a little bit of extra distance on jumps. However, her ability also allows her to get some extra height, ultimately making her the much superior option to our baseball cap wearing friend. Sorry, buddy. Last up, we have Cranky Kong, by far the most unique of our 3 companions. He can use his cane kind of like a pogo stick to bounce off enemies that normally you can't actually jump on with the other Kongs, as well as just use that ability to get a little bit of extra height on some jumps. He's kind of like a grandfather who used to play basketball when he was younger and has like a really weird shot form. He makes it always goes in, so you want him on your team in the driveway. Anything more than that, though, is a little bit too much. Listen, Cranky has seen a lot in his life, but I don't know if he's seen boss battles like these. These are not your typical, oh, you jump on the enemy 3 times type of deal. No siree. These bosses bring the heat. Although, this is Tropical Freeze, so maybe they bring the chill?
Not funny!
Anyways, these bosses are awesome. And keeping in line with the regular levels, each one feels distinct from the others, but also makes sense in the overall world of Tropical Freeze. My only real nitpick is that the boss battles can be kind of more on the marathon side of things. Don't get me wrong, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but in comparison to the regular levels where you kind of get lost, and even though they are long, you never really realize it, on my first playthrough some of these bosses, I did realize rather quickly, this has been going on for a while, right? Pompey the Presumptuous rules over the Lost Mangroves and is a great introductory boss. This sea lion is a ringleader of his very own circus, and he knows how to put on a show. His half-pipe arena makes for a fun battle, and he keeps things fresh by bringing a variety of enemies into the mix as the fight progresses. And again, the soundtrack absolutely rocks. Next, Autumn Heights closes with a showdown against Scowl the Startling, the king of the owl-like Hootses. This guy does not mess around. The battle is divided into 3 distinct phases. In the first phase, you're dodging a flurry of feather missiles, jumping on newly hatched Hootses and throwing their shells at Scowl while he swoops around and lobs spiked ice balls at you. If he's in the next Mario Super Sluggers, God help us all. But also thank God, because we will get a new Mario Super Sluggers. In the second phase, the stakes rise, as this time you hop from Hoots to get their eggs and throw them, all while battling strong gusts of wind from Scowl's wings. Finally, in the third phase, you're high in the sky, dodging an even crazier barrage of feather missiles and fleets of Hootses. Once again, you have to nab those eggs and chuck them at Scowl to defeat him. Overall, this battle is electric, and the ascent into the skies only adds to the amazing atmosphere. Tropical Freeze's third boss is Baboom the Boisterous. This fight is a blast. The baboons swing on ropes, wield hammers, and lob watermelon bombs at you, which you can grab and throw right back at them. It's chaotic and a ton of fun. And if there's one thing about me, it's that I love watermelon. Wait, are there 3 of them? Are they the Baboom brothers? Then shouldn't they be the Babooms? Retro Studios, what are we doing? This is a greater offense than delaying Metroid Prime 4 till 2046. At least I understand that one. Now we arrive at one of the more controversial bosses in the entire game, Fugu the Frightening. And I'll admit, this battle feels long. And it's probably mostly due to the fact that it takes place underwater. There's just a lot of stuff going on in this fight. You know, he grows bigger every time you hit him. You gotta dodge these sea urchins, you gotta make sure you're replenishing your oxygen, you gotta avoid these spikes on the outside of the arena. It's just a lot. It feels like you're riding a unicycle underwater while also trying to juggle. And I would know, I once saw a guy riding a unicycle. This battle is arguably the toughest in the entire game, but man, it feels so satisfying to pull it off for the first time. Bashmaster the Unbreakable of Juicy Jungle is a fan favorite. I mean, just look at this guy. My favorite part of this fight is that as you land more hits and send him plunging into the fruit juice lake, his body becomes increasingly purple. It's a little detail, but it adds such a fun visual progression to the fight. Bashmaster is a big, lovable brute, and this is a battle you won't soon forget. And finally, we meet Lord Frederick once again. He's not about to just give up his new island. No, no, no. He brings out all of the stops to prevent the Kongs from reclaiming their home. First, he sends a fleet of penguins flying out his horn, which we can stomp on and throw right back at him. Then, when he realizes this rather totally genius plan doesn't work, he throws an absolute tantrum, charging at you and then jumping around. Yeah, the dude is really just kind of a big baby. When he's charging at you, you have to jump on his back to deal damage. But the hitbox is weirdly small, which I personally found really frustrating. But it's okay, I only thought about punting my Switch over the fence. After this cycle repeats itself a few times, he brings in the ice dragons, starts sending the platforms up in the air, and then eventually stands right behind you and fires those ice dragons directly at your face. But if you get through all of that and dodge those dragons enough times, you can finally land the final blow and send Frederick tumbling into the ocean below. This battle is a great climax to an epic adventure, and I felt such an immense sense of triumph when I came out on top. Ultimately, it's really hard to think of other 2D platformers that offer such an enriching solo experience to all players. If you're into just playing the main campaign, you can of course just do that. If you want to collect things, there are the puzzle pieces and con letters, which will unlock cool concept art, as well as some extra stages. If you enjoy speedrunning, the time attack mode is a great way to compete for different colored medals. And if you're in for a hardcore challenge, challenge mode exists, in which you take one of the 3 partner Kongs, 1 health, and you can take on any level. It takes a while to unlock, and it's obviously very difficult, but it can be a ton of fun. Well, my vacation didn't go quite as planned, but hey, I got to explore lush jungles, the beautiful savanna, cold icy peaks, all with friends I made along the way, and that means more than anything to me. However, my adventure has made me a bit thirsty though. Got milk?